Time to leave or flee from America. Time to leave or flee from America. Now, our keynote scriptures is Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 4 through 7. For Gaza shall be forsaken, and Ashkelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Woe unto the inhabitants of the seacoast, the nation of the Kerethites, and the word of Yah is against you, O Canaan, the land of Palestinians. I will even destroy thee, that there shall be no inhabitant. And the seacoast shall be for dwellings, and cottages for shepherds, and folds for flocks. And the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Yehudah. They shall feed thereupon. In the houses of Ashkelon shall they lie down in the evening, for Yah their Elohim shall visit them and turn away their captivity. Also from Jeremiah chapter 51, verses 5 through 7. For Israel has not been forsaken, nor Yehudah of his Elohim, of Yahweh Sabaoth, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. He be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance, and he will render unto her a recompense. We're going to stop there at verse 6. Selah, hallelujah. Now, scriptures reveal to us two primary departures that Israelites would do in our ultimate return to our homeland of Israel when we leave this country, Babylon, America. Namely, that the initial departure will not be in flight, where we have to flee from the judgment of destruction upon Babylon, America. But the second departure will be to escape and flee the coming disastrous fall and desolation of Babylon, America. Now, this lesson is going to be in two parts. So what we're going to do tonight is deal with the first part. Now, these two aspects of the second Exodus are described in Scripture. One departure is before the day of Yahweh's vengeance, which our Master Yeshua calls the time of great tribulation in Matthew chapter 24, verse 21, which states, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. But the prophet Zephaniah speaks of an initial exodus before this captivity in America, before the day of Yahweh's vengeance, as stated in Zephaniah chapter 2, verses 1 through 7, which state, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation, not desire, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of Yah come upon you, before the day of Yah's anger come upon you. Seek ye Yah, all you meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yah's anger. For Gaza shall be forsaken, and Ashkelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at the noon, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Woe unto the inhabitants of the seacoast, the nation of the Kerethites. The land of Yah is against you, O Canaan. The word of Yah is against you, O Canaan, the land of the Philistines. I will even destroy thee, that there shall be no inhabitant. And the seacoast shall be for dwellings, and cottages for shepherds, and folds for flocks. And the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Judah. They shall feed thereupon. In the houses of Ashkelon shall they lie down in the evening, for Yah their Elohim shall visit them and turn away their captivity. So the initial phase of the second Exodus comes before the day of Yah's anger, as cited in the second verse of Zephaniah 2, as stated, before the fierce anger of Yah come upon you, before the day of Yah's anger come upon you. And in verse 7 of Zephaniah 2, Yah speaks of his visitation to the captivity of Judah and their initial return to the land of Israel before the day of his wrath, which is referred to in verse 2, and that this initial phase of the second Exodus occurs when Gaza is abandoned by its Palestinian population. As stated in verse 4, taken together, these verses read, quote, before the day of Yah's anger come upon you, for Gaza shall be forsaken, and the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Judah. For Yah the Elohim shall visit them and turn away their captivity. Again, verse 2 states, before the day of Yah's anger come upon you. Verse 4 states, for Gaza shall be forsaken. Verse 7, clause 1, says, the coast shall be for the remnant of the house of Judah. And the last clause of verse 7 says, for Yah their Elohim shall visit them and turn away their captivity. All this initial phase of the second Exodus happens before the last 3.5-year period of Daniel's 70th week in Daniel 9:27, which is initiated when the Antichrist beast commits the abomination of his worship in the temple in Jerusalem, which is called the abomination of desolation. This sacrilege will initiate the day of Yahweh's vengeance and wrath for 3.5 years, which is the latter half of Daniel's 70th week of years, of which time our master Yeshua calls in Matthew 24:21, great tribulation in the wake of the abomination of desolation by the Antichrist, described in Matthew 24:15. These verses in Matthew 24, taken together with Luke 21:22, refer to the day of Yahweh's vengeance and wrath, as stated, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Matthew 24, verse 15. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Matthew 24:21. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Luke chapter 21, verse 22. So the initial phase of the second Exodus comes before the day of Yah's wrath, because the day of his wrath comes when the Antichrist defiles Yahweh's coming third temple in Jerusalem. The initial return of a remnant or a portion of Judah must first return to rebuild the temple before the 3.5-year period of the day of Yah's vengeance takes place. Because according to Daniel 9:27, Yah retaliates against the world with vengeance when his temple in Jerusalem is defiled by the Antichrist, as stated in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, which states, quote, and 1 week shall establish the covenant with many, and in the midst of the week my sacrifice and drink offering shall be taken away, and on the temple shall be the abomination of desolation. And at the end of time, an end shall be put to the desolation. The phrase in that verse 27 of chapter 9 of Daniel, quote, covenant with many. In this verse, it's referring to the initial remnant of Judah of the first phase of the second Exodus, who come to the land before the day of Yahweh, as also referred to in Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 62, which states, and I will establish my covenant with you. Then you shall know that I am Yah. So this initial return of Judah will not include all of Judah, but only a remnant of Judah who will come out of this Babylon America, and they will come out of America not fleeing for their lives from the day of Yahweh's coming wrath on America, but they will voluntarily leave for the work of the kingdom of Yah in our homeland of Israel. This was the case when Judah left ancient Babylon in 536 BC. Only a remnant of Judah returned with Zerubbabel to build the second temple in that time. The vast majority of Judah remained in Babylon. So likewise will be the case when the initial remnant of Judah from here in Babylon, America, returns to build the third temple in Jerusalem before the day of Yahweh's wrath comes. Even though the synagogue of Satan is currently trying to fulfill this prophecy of building the third temple in Jerusalem and sacrifice a red heifer cow to dedicate it in the coming days ahead. Yet, according to Daniel 11:14, it says, those robbers of the identity of the true Judah will fail and fall in their efforts to imitate the vision of prophecies about the true Judah. As stated, quote, Daniel 11:14, clause B, quote, also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish division, but they shall fall. So the initial phase of Judah's departure from Babylon, America, would be Israelites who will leave America before the day of Yahweh's anger and wrath. For the orderly transference of this departure to the land of Israel in the initial phase of the second Exodus, officers of the house of Dawid and Levi must be restored into leadership, as was done in the time when Judah left ancient Babylon in 536 BC. There was Zerubbabel of the house of Dawid, who was the governor of Judah. And there was Yehoshua, the Levitical high priest of Israel. Both Zerubbabel and Yehoshua's calling was, and the rest of the remnant was to rebuild the temple in 536 BC. So likewise, confirmed descendants of Dawid and Zadok, the priests from the house of Aaron, must be restored to leadership. When the Romans destroyed the second temple in 70 AD, Israelite family records were also destroyed because these records were stored in the temple. And so Herod had them all burned up just before he fled for his life to Rome to escape the rebellion in Judah. So currently, there are no documented written genealogy records of the house of David or the house of Zadok, which is the house of Aaron. Though there are oral traditions passed down through generations, yet in ancient Israel, this was not enough to claim ancient descent. There had to be a written, confirmed record, as shown in Ezra chapter 2, verse 63, quote, verse 61 through 63, which states, and of the children of the priests, the children of Habiah, the son of Koz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite, and was called after their name. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but they were not found. Therefore, they, as polluted, were put from the priesthood. And the Tarshasta, or governor, said unto them that they should not eat of the most holy things till there stood up a priest with Urim and with Thummim. And so to confirm the officers of the house of David and the house of Zadok, they must be confirmed by a priest possessing the discernment instruments of the Urim and Thummim devices spoken of in Exodus chapter 28, verse 30. Quote, Exodus chapter 28, verse 30. And thou shalt put them in the breastplate of judgment, the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before Yah. And Aaron shall bear the judgments of the children of Israel upon his heart before Yah continually. So the Urim and the Thummim were discernment devices that were used to determine the will of Yah. They were two small stones that were placed in the inner lining of the priest's breastplate. And they would be taken out for understanding decisions from Yah on who's who. And there's instances of the usage of it during the days of Saul, the king. And there were times when Yah just would not deal with him because he was rebellious. And it says Yah did not answer him even by Urim. So he went and sought counsel from a witch doctor instead. But actually, as it said in Exodus chapter 28, verse 30, the Urim and the Thummim, they were used for judgment. Now, there's a text from the Dead Sea Scrolls called Urim and Thummim, tongues of fire, or flames of fire. Now, what would happen is he would take that instrument out. Say, for instance, if it was being used, say, as this person of the house of David. Well, then what would happen is that priest, by the authority of Yah, could speak to Yah to illuminate whether that person, say, for instance, of the house of David or person as the house of Levi. And if those stones would flame with fire come up, that would say, yes, that person is of the house of David. But if they put this instrument before somebody else, it says, this person of the house of David, or is this person of the house of Levi, and there was nothing that would happen, then that was a sign that those people were not of the house of David or the house of Levi. That's how it worked, not just only on determining ancestry, but on other matters of discerning judgment. So that item, that mechanism was to confirm authenticity of Yah's will. That's why when you see in the book of Acts chapter 2, on the day of Pentecost, on Shavuot, when the Ruach came over the believers and they were bearing witness and teaching about Yahshua, and people saw flames of fire or tongues of fire on them. To Israelites who saw that, they said, oh, these people are speaking as though Urim and Thummim is upon them. What they're saying about the Messiah Yahshua is true. They're speaking sure word of prophecy. The people themselves became the Urim and Thummim in Acts chapter 2, when the Ruach came upon them and tongues of fire, it said, sat on them, which was to illustrate to the people who they bore witness to that they were telling them the real deal word of Yah. See, right now, among Israelites today, we don't have any prophets. We have people who are in the school of the prophets, or people who have moments of prophecy. But at this time, Yah has not confirmed that office mechanism of Urim and Thummim to delegate the authority. So right now, everybody's doing, as it said in the days of Judges, everyone's doing what is right in their own eyes. That was in those days. So that there was no definite discernment. And so we can say, I could say, okay, I had my ancestry done, and my fathers told me from the house of David, but you know, I don't have a genealogy record. And as of now, even though I've had DNA, nobody has dug up King David's body to extract any DNA from it. And thank goodness they haven't. I mean, he's buried somewhere, or even of Aaron. But see, that discernment device was what the governor of Judah said in the days of Zerubbabel, that in 536 BC, when there were priests who knew by oral tradition they were priests, but they didn't have the confirmation record. They were told in Ezra chapter 2, wait till a priest will come back with Urim and Thummim. So that must be evidence. Now, this must happen before the day of Yah, because when Israelites go back to the land, we need those two officers back. The house of David would be there as governors. We already got a king of the house of David. That's Yahshua. So we don't need anybody to be the king. But we have delegated authorized officers of the house of David. Then we must have delegated authorized priests of the house of Aaron. We must have that. If we don't have that, we have chaos. That's the stability of the Israelite nation, that you must have those two officers. We don't have that right now. However, Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 through 6 states that before the day of Yah's wrath, which is the time of the first phase of the second Exodus from America, that in that time Yah would send a ministry of Eliyahu. I personally believe it's Eliyahu or Elijah himself personally. But we know that it's a ministry that will reconnect family ancestry descent in Israel. Eliyahu or Elijah was a priest because he offered sacrifices on Mount Carmel. And he could call fire down, which is also like the Urim and Thummim, which would illustrate Yah's will by manifestation of fire. He that answers by fire is Yah. That's what Elijah said. Well, Urim and Thummim was a manifestation of fire that would be illustrating the will of Yah. Now, Eliyahu manifested that power on Mount Carmel in his exhibition against the priest of Baal. So he that answers by fire is Yah. So they confirmed to Israel who to serve, Yah or Baal, and they saw the fire came from Yah. Well, this is going to be applied also in terms of family ancestry. Because in that time, Yah would send Eliyahu to reconnect family ancestry descent in Israel, which would include the house of David and house of Aaron. As stated, behold, quote, Zephaniah, Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 through 6. Behold, I send you Eliyahu, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yah. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So before the day of Yahweh's wrath, Yah will send an Elijah ministry. I personally believe it's the actual Elijah, but it'll be an Elijah ministry for sure. Yah will send Elijah to restore and confirm the descents of David and Levi, as stated in verse 6. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers. This process of restoring and confirming the officials of the house of David and Aaron by the process of Urim and Thummim. Urim meaning lights, Thummim meaning perfections put together, enlightened perfection. This enlightened perfection, discernment, and judgment. The process of Urim and Thummim will happen by the ministry of Eliyahu to prepare us for the leadership needed to build the third temple in Jerusalem before the day of Yahweh. So this pre-day of Yahweh exodus from America happens when, according to Zephaniah 2:4, it says it happens when Gaza will be forsaken and abandoned. Even now, we are hearing of rumors of this actually happening in the near future in Gaza, that it will be abandoned. That's the plan that Donald J. Trump has mentioned, and others. Now, it bears watching whether they will be able to do it, but that should serve notice to us that this aspect of the abandoning of the Gaza Strip by Palestinians, it's a sign. Now, whether it will happen at this time is yet to be seen. But that should let us know we're getting very close to some major spiritual revelation. We're very a major spiritual revelation time. And this bears watching. Our Master Yeshua said in Luke chapter 12, verse 37 through 38, quote, "Blessed are those servants whom the master, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch or in the third watch and find them so, blessed are those servants." Hallelujah. We will continue this lesson next week regarding it, more information regarding the second Exodus, leave or flee. Shalom.